Could the Chicago Bulls be trading Zach LaVine to the New York Knicks? Well, in a recent Bleacher Report article, that happened. And I'm joined by my guy, Patrick Siepman, host of the Chicago Bulls Report. And Sieps, this is an interesting trade idea. And we've talked about this idea of LaVine being traded to the Knicks. But this trade idea in specifically was very interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll be diving into that, and then also Marsh and I will be bringing you guys our trade ideas around Zach LaVine as well. And I think you guys are going to like mine just a little bit more than Marsh's. But we're excited to dive into it today.
Let's get into it. But first, it's a competition on today's video. I'm the host of our New York Knicks channel, like we talked about. Seeps, he hosts the Bulls Report. And I want to beat the Bulls Report and all you Chicago people out there in subscribers. So Knicks fans, stand up. Rep your city. This ain't the 90s anymore. The days of the MJ glory days are behind us. It's the Knicks time now. Hit that sub button. Seeps, why should they subscribe to the Bulls Report?
Because all that garbage you just spilled out of your mouth. Prove him wrong. Shut him up, Bulls fans. Hit that sub button. Take down the big old dogs in New York.
Let's do it. All right, so Seeps, first off, I think we can somewhat agree that at least right now, the Bulls are not going to trade Zach LaVine. I think they want to run it with what they got, test it out to the trade deadline, and see what kind of materializes over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bulls have made it very clear that they want to run this back next season, see if they can kind of, catch a magic in a bottle a little bit and try to win some games. But by no means, if the Bulls are, let's say, 500 or below 500 at next year's NBA trade deadline, I fully expect the Zach LaVine trade rumors to really start heating up.
And it's going to be interesting because we've seen in the past, even with the Knicks, a midseason trade can really catapult a team like it did for the Knicks last year with Josh Hart, the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant. Could Zach LaVine be the guy that's moved at the trade deadline? We're going to find out. Let's go to this Bleacher Report trade idea, Seeps. What do you think of it?
So when I saw this at first, I was thinking about it like right now. Like if the Bulls would make that trade right now in the present day, I would absolutely hate it. But now then I started to think about it at next year's trade deadline from the Bulls' perspective, I actually wouldn't as hate it as much as I think other Bulls fans. They were very vague with the 3 first-round
Yeah, is
picks.
that protected? Are they not protected? It's pretty lazy when you do stuff like that.
Exactly. But you're getting our young piece in RJ, Deuce McBride, kind of that dog point guard defender.
You already have like 4 Deuce McBrides on your team, though.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But then the 3 first-round picks, depending on, the protections on all those, I wouldn't hate this at the deadline. What do you think from the, Knicks side of things?
Yeah, I think for the Knicks, this is a trade where you still kind of have the problem that you already have, where you would have a 10-man rotation right here because you're getting, I'm not going to complain about getting Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso, but you're getting one more player than Tibbs really wants to play at a time. Bulls fans know he likes that smaller and shorter rotation. Tried out a 9-man rotation last year, and you would still have that logjam of guards with Caruso and Emmanuel Quickly and Quentin Grimes. Maybe that could help you for another trade. But honestly, I think the Knicks are the clear winners in this trade idea. I think you're getting the best player, and then you're getting the third best player, and you're really not giving up much else besides draft picks and a young RJ Barrett.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Knicks probably come out on top of this, but we'll ask you guys. You guys get your thoughts down there in the comments section. Who wins this trade? Give us an NYK for the New York Knicks, or give me a CHI for the Chicago Bulls.
So the way I was looking at it was I was kind of expecting those to be unprotected picks. So, unless they just didn't include that for some reason, I'm looking at it as unprotected. If I was the Knicks, I probably would do that deal. I don't like giving up 3 unprotected picks. If it was 2 and then 1, so it doesn't really limit you in future deals, I think it would make some more sense. But you get another Tibbs guy in Alex Caruso. He fits exactly what Tibbs wants to do. And then you get an immediate upgrade, Seeps, in that starting lineup, especially on the offensive end with Zach LaVine.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, I've been saying it on the Bulls channel for a little bit here. I think he's became almost criminally underrated. Like, he is the definition of a 3-level scorer in the modern day NBA. Can hit the 3, can get to his midi. He obviously has the athletic ability to get to the rim. Mars, these numbers, just from an efficiency perspective, unreal.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he may pop out a 50, 40, 90 season sooner rather than later. And a casual guy may be surprised by that, but he's been so close so many other times. This past year for the Bulls, in 77 games, the guy averaged 48.5% from the field and 37.5% from 3. That's probably my favorite part about his game is it's so effortless for him on the offensive end. And sometimes when you watch him, you're almost like, is the dude even trying? It's just so silky smooth and easy for him. I mean, the guy's averaged 25 points per game for the past 4 seasons. He's also giving you almost 5 dimes. He's an elite player, and I like what you said about being underrated because I think he is. Because people look at him and see he's like, he's never made it to the playoffs. He's always been on a team that's not good. Well, that just proves to me that he's not a number one option. Then there's not a lot of guys that are a number one option. I mean, he's a good player, and then I think the injuries are a reason that people like to bang on him. Pause, that was weird. But he's had those early knee injuries in his career. But in the last 5 years, he's played in 85% of his games.
Yeah, he's played in all of them almost. And also, I feel like everybody gets on him for the defensive side of the floor. Like, everybody's like, oh, LaVine, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't put a lot of effort on that side of the floor. What we saw with Team USA, when he had to kind of fit into that role of being a better defender, he embraced it. And that's why if he would go to a team like the Knicks, like if Tom Thibodeau said in a playoff series, like, hey, Brunson's got a lot of favorable matchups on the offensive side of the floor. LaVine, you got to be our point of attack defender, and you got to pick that up defensively. He's got the athletic ability to do it.
I think he can, and it just hasn't. We haven't had to see that from him. I mean, even in the little play-in games this year, I didn't think he was a bad defender. They just weren't going at him. And the reason I would love to see him as a member of the Knicks is because I think he'd be a great co-star to Jalen Brunson. He's a lot like Brunson. He can get his own shot at any time. He can score from all 3 levels, but he's also great off the ball. Zach LaVine, one of the best catch-and-shoot three-point guys in the league, almost 42% from downtown. And when he wants to get to the cup, I know Bulls fans know this all good and well, he can rise up and throw it down, but he's also very clever with the different finishes that he has with the left and the right hand, converting 63% of his shots when less than 10 feet from the basket. He's just a bucket.
Yeah, he is the definition of bucket. Like, he is, and I always kind of say this, actually. Like, if I had to pick one dude's game that I would kind of like to be in his body and feel how he plays the game of basketball, I mean, he can do anything on the offensive side of the floor. I think that would be pretty sweet. But, Mark, you mentioned the play-in game. This is the one thing with LaVine is I feel like when he gets in the playoffs more consistently, if he gets on a championship team, I think this is going to be kind of his MO. He's going to have games where he gets 40, and he's this huge offensive kind of, engine, but then he'll also have a game like he did against the Miami Heat. And he's the reason the Bulls didn't make the playoffs last season. He could have been the reason the Heat didn't make the finals.
Because the Heat were losing in that game with about 5 minutes left, and even though LaVine had been struggling to that point, he could have took over the game. But I'm not going to overreact to one game. And we saw, though, against a really talented and especially defensively skilled team against the Raptors, he just completely took over that game and said, I am not going to let my team lose. Carried them in a big comeback, dropped a 40 ball on great efficiency. He's a special, special offensive player. And then you have people say, well, he's paid way too much. And sure, when you just look at a piece of paper and you're like, man, he's getting paid $37 million, then $40 million, and 43. But see, that's just the cost of doing business at this point. I mean, in 2022 and 2023, this past year, he made $37 million. That's 30% of the cap. I mean, that's just how much it costs if you want someone at the talent level that LaVine possesses.
Yeah, and with the new TV deal, we know that cap is going to go up as well. I mean, I would make an argument in 2025, 2026, and 2026, 27, that will probably be a favorable deal.
Only 28% of the cap.
Yeah, like that's fine as your second, maybe third option on your team. Like, I think this contract is way more favorable than people think.
I think it makes more sense for a team that's trying to compete and go for it all. Whereas, let's say the Bulls go out and they start crushing it in the first half of the season, kind of replicate what they had with Lonzo Ball. You are happy with paying this money, and you are glad he's a member of your team. But like you mentioned, maybe they come out to a slow start, and they're 5 games below 500 at the All-Star break. They may be looking to kind of reset that roster. And that's why the Knicks make so much sense, because they just have so many draft picks at their disposal. The only teams that really can trade more picks at this point are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Brooklyn Nets and and the Utah Jazz. Those are the 3 teams that can offer more picks. But for the Knicks, you saw what they had. They could potentially have 4 picks in 2024. It'd be a really easy reset with still some young pieces on this team if the Bulls wanted to go that direction.
And we both know the Knicks are going to have to consolidate some assets eventually. Like, they're not going to draft, let's just say if all these come to fruition, they're not drafting 4 players next season.
Yeah,
like, that's just not happening. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But the main piece that the Bulls would be getting is RJ Barrett, kind of a polarizing figure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think polarizing is a good word for him. You know, you see all these stats. he is one of 5 players under the age of 23 that's done X, X, and X, and he joins the likes of LeBron James and Luka Doncic and, all those players, Tracy McGrady. But it's like, what does that really mean? I mean, he's been a successful player so far in his career. I mean, you look at what he's done in the 4 years. He's gotten better at certain things every single year. I mean, look, if you can get the player from 2020 to 2021 where he averaged 18 points per game and 44% from the field and 40% from downtown, that's a player that everybody would want on their team. Yeah. The thing is, he hasn't been able to really replicate that three-point shooting, down to 34 2 years ago. This past year, 31%. But he is a guy, Seeps, that can get 20 every single night. He gets to the rim at a great percentage. He's in like the top 90th percentile of getting to the rim, and he got better finishing in that area. I don't think he's close to the player he's going to be. I just think for the Knicks standpoint, if they are going to upgrade in the starting lineup, it's going to be at that small forward position with RJ Barrett. So that's why I'm going to include him in this trade idea that I cooked up, kind of modeled a little bit off that Bleacher Report trade idea, but we've talked about this before on the channel. The Knicks give up RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and with the Bulls not having a lot of first-round picks, we're going to give you 3 of them. We'll give you an unprotected Knicks pick in 2026. We'll give you that Bucks pick that's top 3 protected in 2025. And honestly, I'm willing to give up any of the 2014 protected picks, whether it's Detroit or the Washington or the Mavericks. I would give up one of them. This would also give the Knicks the ability to still have a first-round pick almost in every single year in the next coming years. I like RJ Barrett as a player. I think he'd be a good young building block for the Bulls. I just think that his timeline doesn't match up necessarily with Brunson and Zach LaVine and Julius Randle.
And just overall fit. Like, you can't, I know it's just like whatever hand you shoot with, but I feel like it doesn't really make too much sense when you have 3 lefties that all relatively play their best game from the 3-point line in Brunson, Barrett, and Randle. But this was my trade idea, and I know Knicks fans, I know Marsh didn't like me including the prodigy Quentin Grimes in this trade, but let me make my argument real quick. I think if the Knicks were to trade for a guy like Caruso and LaVine, you're going to have to ship off one of those guards. You're not going to have LaVine, Caruso, Quickly, Hart, DiVincenzo, Grimes, and Brunson. That's 7 freaking guards. You're not going to play them all. So I went less picks, but the Knicks do include Quentin Grimes, but then you also get a all-world defender in Alex Caruso, who, I'll tell you what, we talk about definition of a Tibbs guy. Caruso might literally be the definition of that if you look it up in the dictionary of a Tibbs player. And you would just add a lot of defensive backbone to this team. I mean, you're getting an elite defender and an elite scorer in this trade. It'll be interesting to see if the Knicks would do this.
I don't hate it. It's just I am a huge fan of Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
And I think he's really going to be a special player in this league. Is he ever going to be an all-star? I don't know, but I do believe he's going to be a starter on a winning team that can win the NBA championship. He just does it too well on both sides of the ball at a really young age. But I do like that if I am giving up Quentin Grimes, I'm at least going to be getting back Caruso, who could come off the bench with Emmanuel Quickly and Dante DiVincenzo, and maybe insert Josh Hart into the starting lineup. I honestly think both trades and all 3 trades kind of really make some sense. We'll ask you, though, to pick a trade. Would you rather Marshall's trade go down? Type MG in the comments. Or if you would rather see RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes go to Chicago, but the Knicks also getting back a guy that was a first-team all-defensive team in Alex Caruso. Type PS down in the comment section. I think I'd be cool with both of those trades, but at the end of the day, I would be a little bit upset giving up Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially what we heard with Jerry West, the way he talks about Quentin Grimes, like he knows more basketball than either of us or any of us watching today's show. So, both trades I think would benefit both teams, though. If the Bulls are in the position where they're 5 games below 500.
I don't think that we've seen the end of the Bulls and Knicks and LaVine talks. It just makes a lot of sense on so many different fronts. But hey, let's say the Bulls come out at the All-Star break. They're in contention to be a top 6 team. They're not going to be moving on from LaVine. Make sure you guys are subscribed. If you're watching on the Bulls Report, Seeps is killing it. Videos almost every day on the Bulls, so subscribe. Or if you love the Knicks, hit that sub button on the Knicks channel.